हाँ, बहुत पेज के 9 पेज से 9 या 10. Why do you need somebody? Uh, uh, okay. So fine. Let's come to the topic. The topic is called as the blood nut, right? So, which is if you talk about that the blood nut, so what does it try to tell us? So it's a really highly meaningful and symbolic, isn't it? So if I talk about a blood nut is a strong knot. Knot means that called as a binding or called as a attaching to two things that binds two lines together, isn't it? So tightly that they cannot be separated easily, isn't it? That's what is called as a knot. But when we say the blood knot, it means blood is indicating a biological relationship. It is the kind of a relationship which is so strong that no one can separate it, isn't it? Try to understand the title of the text. So, this represents nothing but the title represents nothing but the separable bond, inseparable bond between Morris and Zachariah. Like I told you, when you read that, you found out that they are the two brothers, isn't it? Who? Morris and Zachariah. So, who are brothers born of the same means a mother, right? So, here you would find out the sorry, Raju sir, just call him up, principal sir, right? So, what we understood here, the title, the brother knot, is symbolic one, meaningful one. It indicates about a blood knot is a strong knot that binds two lines together so tightly that they cannot be separated easily, and this represents the inseparable bond between the two characters we find out when we read the text Morris and Zachariah at the first instance, isn't it? So, who are brothers, born of the same mother. So, what are the symbols of brotherhood? Now, question is that how when we say that inseparable bond, what are the symbols of brotherhood? What do you think? Symbols of brotherhood. One, we understood that they born of the same mother, right? But how do we justify that they are bonded, they are blood nut? See, when we say that blood nut, it means we are saying the brothers are tied by blood, isn't it? It indicates about they are the family, isn't it? Second age called as even when they argue, they hurt each other or feel tension, so they cannot break their bond, isn't it? So their shared suffering under apartheid ties. Apartheid means called as something which is a torture. Torture ties them together. So the relationship is like a knot that cannot be untied, isn't it? So in that case, we can say these are nothing but the symbols of brotherhood. Second is called as you also find out symbol of emotional conflict. When we say that symbol of emotional conflict, what are the emotional conflict we find out in a blood knot or in a brotherly relationship? We can say that pain is there, tightness is there, and struggle is there. Their bond is loving but also painful. Why? Because racism creates division. What do we mean by racism? It means in a family you find out one girl is so beautiful, the other girl is little bit gray or called as blackish in color, isn't it? You would find out little bit conflict is there because of the color. One is studying too much and the other is careless. So for that also in the eye comes out, isn't it? So when we say that their bond is loving but also painful, why? Because racism creates division between. The meaning of racism is called as a color. or maybe some kind of a thing, isn't it? Now, the next is called as a social meaning. When we say apartheid, apartheid, we know that it's called as a torture. Apathetic, apartheid, that tries to separate people by race. But you must have read the kind of a topic called long walk, means the long walk to go or something like. It's written by Nelson Mandela, right? So in that case, South Africa, what happened? You could find out in South Africa, there is a kind of a rule, right? But the rule specifically, you would find out white between the black. The white presence in the black also, the British have tried to make them divide rule, isn't it? So here also, apartheid tries to separate people by race, but the brothers' blood bond proves that what human connection is stronger than racial categories. You can't separate two people on based on the color when they are connected to each other by blood. Hey, so therefore the title justifies both family unity and social conflict. Now, what Athol Fugard, who is the writer or the author for this play, so he wrote from real experience. Real experience means something which he felt, something which he experienced, isn't it? So he wrote from real experience, and Fugard himself was a South African playwright. Now, when you read the topic called as a means the blood nut, that indicates about the situation occurred in the South Africa. Just now I told you. Then here you find out that Fugard was a South African playwright who lived during apartheid. So he saw racial injustice firsthand. It means he experienced, like I told you. And his writing is, you can say, realistic and truthful. So if you focus on the human relationship, what we find out, Fugard doesn't just show politics. Arthur Fugard doesn't just show politics. What he tries to show emotions, family bonds, psychological struggles, mental struggles. Now, let's say that when somebody suffers from such kind of a situation, so he went through such kind of a thing like he finds out the emotions for the others, he finds out the family bonds, isn't it, that is going to deteriorate. You also find out the kind of a mental stress, struggles. So this makes the story powerful and human, isn't it? Now, another thing is called as that's the reason you would find out the author, Arthur Fugard, against the, what you can say that, goes against the apartheid, right? So his works often criticize what? Racism, criticize inequality, isn't it? So the blood knot shows how apartheid damages even family relations. He uses drama to question social justice, social injustice. So the deep psychological insight he tries to point out that Fugard explores identity crimes. What do you mean by identity crimes? Individual loses his identity, right? So secondly, it's called as a guilt. When you did the mistake, you find out the guilt. You feel the guilt. You fear internalized racism. Internalized racism means uh, inside the community, or maybe the person who felt like he is not as beautiful as the or as good as the other person present. Got my point? Then these things do what? These things make the play rich and meaningful. Got my point? So, in that case, if you say the title, The Blood Nut, shows the justification because it symbolizes the unbreakable. You can't break, unbreakable, but painful. painful bond between two brothers divided by race, but color, but united by blood. So Athol Fugard is justified as the author. Why? Because it's a first-hand experience of apartheid or torture and deep understanding of human emotions that allow him to picturize or describe racial conflict and brotherhood with realism and sensitivity, isn't it? So that's what you would find out about the title of the topic and about the what you can say the author himself in the play. Got my point? Now let's come to the text in the first page. What we found out. Uh, it starts with the characters Morris and Zachariah, so whose ages are not specified. Setting. When we say that setting, it means called as a background, where because we know that it is a play. It's a play means what? It is the play means it performs on the stage. As it is performed on the stage, so the stage must be prepared on the manner, right? So how the stage is prepared, so that's what is called known as a setting. So one room, that shack in the non-white location of Costin, right? Look into it. The room, that shack in the non-white location of Costin near Port Elizabeth, South Africa. It means the stage is trying to picturize or present it in the manner like what it should appear like South Africa, isn't it? So the premiere is called as a rehearsal room, African music. Um, that's known as what you can say that meloge. What do you mean by meloge? Meloge is nothing but one of the features of Aristotle. We say no melodes, ethos, dianoia, right? Lexis, opsis, and uh, yes. So you can find out the ethos, diarrhea, then Lexus, Opsis, and Meloge. Meloge is generally known as music. And here you would find out rehearsal room, African music, right? And Drama Association, Johannesburg, South Africa in the year of 1961. So when did it actually play, right? So now the story begins with what Morris takes up a madman on a long road. After years, he returns to his brother's shack in a non-white area and moves it. Zachariah is a dark skinned. Do you see that white and black? Zachariah is a dark skinned, Morris light skinned. Morris plans everything. He constantly sets an alarm for when to eat, sleep. Zachariah's life changes. He no longer enjoys drinking on Friday nights as his friend Minnie plays the guitar. Instead, Morris convinces him to save for the future. Zachariah complains of whole year of spending two nights talking. I'm sick of talking. So he wants a woman. So Morris comes up with the idea of a paintball. Through the paper, they write to Athol Lange. Athol writes back and sends a photo. She is white. Zachariah decides to give his debt to his brother, who can pass as white. Morris objects. In apartheid South Africa, interracial sex is a crime. Zachariah convinces him to play along and uses their years saving to buy Morris the suit of a gentleman. Right. So here you would find out the word swatgat means a racial slur for a black person. Slur. Blood knot refers to the what? Inseparable tie binding them together. Like I pointed, the bond between brother. So Morris is lying on his bed, staring up at the ceiling. There is a knock at the door. Morris rises slowly on his bed. Morris, who is there? The knock is heard again and speak up. Now, so what you understood from the first page. So the first page brings with the passage, introduces a play about two brothers whose names are Morris and Zachariah. Cool. So they were living together where in a small shack in apartheid era, apartheid era South Africa. So where do they live in? In a small shack, not in a good condition. When the place is called as South Africa is the country, and apartheid era means where Britishers rule was present. Got my point? Now they are brothers, but look different. Why do you say that? Now Zachariah is a dark skin. Dark skin means color, dark color. So Morris is light skinned and can pass as white. Can pass as white means white, but definitely count him. So this difference is very important because South Africa at that time. So it is not the time of present situation when you can say before independence. At that time had apartheid. Apartheid means what people were tortured socially, politically. So a system that strictly separated people by race and gave more rights to white people. It means partiality was there. Partiality was there. So if you talk about Morris and Zachariah, their relationship is organized and you can say controlled. So you say that what Morris plans their daily life. Morris plans their daily life. Why? White skinned, right? So the and pushes Zachariah to save money and think about the future. It means I plan, you save money, and think about your future. I suggest you. So Zachariah feels bored and frustrated. Right? He wants enjoyment, he wants companionship, and especially a woman in his life, isn't it? And this creates tension. So Morris focuses on discipline and survival, while Zachariah wants what? Emotional. Zachariah wants a social fulfillment. Do you see the differential in the thought process? Now, to help Zachariah find a woman, Morris suggests that getting a pen pal, P-E-N, pen pal. So they write to a woman named Athol Fugard. Means Morris suggests getting a pen pal means find out a friend, right, who could be a female, right? So it's not important to get a woman for that you need to marry. You can get a friend. Yes. So you can say that what they write a woman named Athol Lynch, and that Athol Lynch also replies and sends her photo. So and the woman is white, Athol Lynch. Now this complicates everything. Then who is in means keen to get a woman? Morris or Zachariah? Zachariah. Morris gave a plan. Why don't you go for a paintball? Then Zachariah means found out somebody and wrote a letter. And that girl is beautiful, Athel white. Now Athel desire is required is referred to whom? Zachariah. Morris gave the plan. But what happened at the lunch? What happened to at the lunch? Let's see that. That's the interesting part. So you find out that this complicates. Why this complicates? That this complicates everything because relationships were illegal under apartheid system. Because a white girl, black man, right? So the moral conflict comes. Zachariah suggests that Morris should go on the date. Isn't it? So Morris should go on the date and pretending to be the one who wrote the letters. Isn't it? I hope you have seen the movie called as Hrithik Roshan and Saif Ali Khan's movie, where Hrithik Roshan was the in a um, backend and giving means Saif loved to that girl and in the name of this Hrithik Roshan. I don't know, tumko na bol paenge or something like that. Fine, but here you would find out Zachariah suggests that Morris, why should not you go on the date? And you pretend that you are the person who sent the letter. Right? Since Morris can pass as white, so Morris is uncomfortable in objects. So, but Zachariah pursues, convinces, and even spends their savings to buy Morris a nice suit, isn't it? So, this shows what how racism forces them into difficult choices. Now, how identity becomes something they must perform to survive. Now, you need to be look good. You must have a job. You must be tall, handsome, right? So then only you get a good candidate, and that's what is formal and so common. But in that case, uh, my friends are sending messages to me, if you friends, that why didn't you come with us to Charmina? Why, where did you go that evening? Even we were not in the hospital. So, the last day. So fine. Did you understand so far? Now, the blood knot here indicates that it is a strong knot, right? That binds two lines together. Now, the unbreakable bond between the brothers, even when they argue, they feel tension, they are tied together by blood, family, and shared together, shared, you can say, struggle. Here, the racism controls their lives and relationship, and the identity that can raise your performance. Who are you if society defines you by skin color? That's the question. Can race be a performance, not your education? Race cannot be a performance. Education can be or called as skills. If he doesn't look good, so that doesn't determine means outrightly reject him. We need to obviously look beyond that, isn't it? So that's what you would find out. The author is asking, can this be a performance? No, not at all. So who are you if society defines by skin color? Nothing. If the apartheid system is there. So brotherhood and dependency. When I say brotherhood and dependency, it means uh, brotherhood means they need each other. So, but also feel trapped by each other. Why also feel trapped by each other? Because they made a plan that I love the girl, you meet the girl, right? I spend the money, you give the gift, right? So why? Because I'm black, you're white. The girl will be impressed by looking at your men's skin, right? So that's what again called as a dreams versus reality. You find out Jacaria's dreams of love and you can say that a better life. Jacaria's dreams what? Love and a better life. Now that reality keeps blocking him. Why that reality keeps blocking him? Now, in one sentence, the passage sets a powerful drama about two brothers that bound by love but divided by race, living under a system that makes even simple human desires dangerous. That's called as on the basis of the apartheid system. Racism, isn't it? So that's what you would find out. The first page clearly defines. Now, when we go to the second page, what do we find out? In the second page, what is happening in the scene? Now, Jakaria has brought many items. What are the items Jakaria has brought? That called as a wallet, lighter, scarf, umbrella, boots, clothes, isn't it? Why? Now, to make Morris look like a gentleman. Why? Now, because Morris is supposed to meet Athol. Morris is supposed to meet Athol. I don't. Okay. So understood this. Now, Zachariah, here we found out that Zachariah has brought many items, and all these items which I told you that called as a wallet and lighter, scarf, umbrella, boots, clothes to make Morris look like a gentleman. Now, why? Now, because Morris is supposed to meet Ethel at the lantern, right? And the white pen pearl, the white pen pearl. Understood? Pen pearl refers to so and must appear respectable and white like in dress and behavior, isn't it? First impression is the last impression or last long. Now, what the item means actually, if you talk about that, Jakaria lists the things that he bought. One is called as a wallet. The wallet is an ostrich wallet. Ostrich. Second is called as a light in case, cigarette light in case, scarf and umbrella, then boots and cloths. So these are, if you think deeply, can you give me what they symbolize? These things symbolize status, isn't it? These things symbolize status. Ostrich wallet, isn't it? Cigarette case and light. So scarf and umbrella. Then boots and clothes. Now, can't you go simple and meet that girl? No, you need to carry these things. Those things indicate status. If you don't have the status, the girl may not impress. So, in that case, Jakaria believes these things will help Morris pass as a gentleman. The gentleman signifies the kind of things need to be had, right? So even Morris doesn't smoke. Like you don't smoke. Sometimes you find out that group of friends are there. One is not smoking, or two are not smoking. But the kind of attitude and the style of the other friends make the friends first to have a sip of it, right? Or take a puff of it. That may be tea or that may be cigarette, isn't it? So here also you would find out, even if Boris doesn't smoke, Jakaria says Ethel might like it. That you smoke and your style will means attract, isn't it? So in how much they're trying to impress her, isn't it? That matters the most. Then, but there is a fear also. Morris fear. What is that? When Morris realizes, Chakaria mentioned a lady to the shopkeeper. Mentioned a lady to the shopkeeper. He becomes afraid. Why? Because under apartheid, a black man connected to a white man could face serious trouble. It means if Jakaria mentioned about that girl to the shopkeeper, then it could lead to something, right? So obviously we know that what rumors spread fast, isn't it? So this shows nothing but a constant fear under racial laws, how risky their plan is. So the plan may be means revealed and concerned, isn't it? So Zachariah's struggle. Zachariah explains how hard it was to buy the outfit. So one shop accused means it's not even easy to buy the product. So the problem is called as Zachariah Bob brought those of the things. But while he was buying the things, Zachariah explains that what are the difficulties he faced. One shop accused him of being an agitator and almost called the police because he was a black. One shop, you went to the shop, you want to buy. Let's say that I'm giving you very good analogy. Now here Zachariah is a black. He went to shop to buy these things which are symbolizing status. Keep this thing in your mind. Now a beggar who have the money, but the kind of a dressing. So he wanted to enter the Tata, what you can say, Taj Hotel. Will he be allowed? But he has the money, right? So here Zachariah has the money. But what's the problem with him? Because he looks black. And black has no right to wear such a status, isn't it? So in that case, you would find out means one shop accused him of being an agitator, right? And almost called the police that he was doing such kind of a thing. Another shopkeeper thought that the man was drunk. Third, people could not imagine he was buying for a gentleman. Does he have the money? Right? So, does he have the shop status? So, this shows how racism affects the daily life. Right or no? Now, let's look into the caste system. In earlier, caste system was so apartheid, so tortured, means in Raja Rao Kantapura, you would find out, or called as Narendra Yadav's written that outcast. Outcast. Narendra Yadav's written outcast. In that, you would find out people used to, wear certain things, and that loincloth was hung. That wherever she walked, right, the loincloth used to sweep. What does it mean? It means your path, your fit mark also not be there on because you are a lower caste person. Your fit mark shall not be on the road, and that is why you should wear the certain things like loin cloth on their back. जैसे कि मम्मी जब घर में चलती है तो उसका दुपट्टा ओढ़नी सॉरी व्हाट डू वी पल्लू so that means falls on the ground and it goes like that similar to that the way used to suffer during the caste system. It was thanks to Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar who did certain kind of a thing, not the means most important people during that time, freedom fighters. Only Baba Sahib Ambedkar who can say that. Other people were there, but his contribution is more than that. So you would find out that a black man buying pine cloths is treated with a suspicion, isn't it? A black man is buying pine cloths that has been treated with a suspicion. Suspicion means doubt. You doubt. So here the irony is what actually? The irony is called as the shopkeeper asked Zachariah if he is the gentleman. Right? So this is the ironic. It means the shopkeeper is not sitting there to sell the product, but to identify who is going to take what kind of a thing. Right. So society assumes that he cannot be a gentleman. Why? Due to his race. And the idea of gentleman is tied to the white class people only. Isn't it? Whiteness and class. Hope you understand this. So Zachariah jokingly asked if he looks like one. Right. So that gentleman, does he look like one? So showing his awareness of the discrimination. So the scene highlights what the racism there and dignity also. Simple acts like shopping becomes a humiliating for whom? Jakarta. So Morris must dress up to be accepted is called as identity as performance. And Zachariah spends savings and effort for Morris is indicating that trust for Morris because he is his brother. He's not going to ditch him. Right. So, and that's what is called as a brotherly love too. Social inequality. Respect is linked to race. Respect is linked to occurrence. Got my point? So, we can say that what the second page shows how apartheid forces the brothers to perform respectability while exposing the painful racism that that denies Jakaria dignity, isn't it? Did you find out it's not interesting? Okay. Now let's go to the third one. Now in third passage, when we see that Morris is nervous and afraid, someone knocks at the door. Why? No, because Morris knew that Jakaria tells to the means shopkeeper about whom means Athol land. Got my point? And that's why Morris is afraid of it. That so he found out that someone knocks at the door. Morris panics and thinks it might be Athol, right? The white woman they have been writing to. He becomes confused and forward. Madam Miss Athol Lange, showing his anxiety. When he hears laughter, he realizes something is off. He checks the clock and notices that what it is still midday, right? Too early for her visit. To whom? Miss Athol. So this shows how tense and fearful Miss Morris was about the situation. So, and Jakaria arrives with the parcel. Jakaria comes in carrying many shopping parcels. He jokes that Morris ran to the door because he hoped and feared that it was Athol. It was not Athol, it was more Jakaria. So Jakaria is a playful and teaching, you understand? And while Morris tries to act calm and indifferent, so you would find out two are there, means one who is going to perform is cautious and fearful, one who makes the person to do that is excited and hopeful, right? So then we find out the gentleman outfit, means Jakaria proudly presents what he bought: a hat, right, shirt and tie, socks and a handkerchief, and a suit. Now see that the former things are made for the, means maybe for the girl, right? And these are the latter could be for the means Morris. He even imitates the shopkeepers, sells token and etc. So he told all these things. And this are human but also reveals something deeper. Jakaria is trying to build an image of a gentleman for Marish. Because by giving him all such kind of a things, what you are trying to do, you are trying to make somebody gentleman. The deeper meaning you would find out fear under apartheid. Morris' panic shows how dangerous it is for them to be involved with a white woman. Second is called as the clubs symbolize how Morris must dress and behave like a white gentleman to be accepted. Then another one is called as Jakaria treats this like a dream or fantasy, believing clothes can change their reality. So, but the irony is called as they are poor men in shed. They are poor men in a shed, yet trying to look like a wealthy gentleman. Right? And this highlights the gap between their reality and their dreams, rich and poor. Now, these are nothing but you can tell the lie to the woman that you are rich, but how many days you will keep that? Isn't it? So, this scene shows Morris' fear and Zachariah's hopeful excitement as they prepare a gentleman identity for Morris, revealing how apartheid forces them to act and pretend just to gain dignity and opportunity. Got the point? Now, the next is this is feeling bored. Okay, so this passes or this page tells us the means you can say that Morris, who explains that what he thinks white living is, and how it feels to try live like a white man under threatening, under apartheid. Now, what is happening here? Morris is talking to Zachariah about what? The difference between black and white life in apartheid South Africa. He believes what people are or white people are raised differently and have a natural confidence that he does not have, isn't it? So one thing is called as a created, one is called as innate, isn't it? So in that case, if you think of Morris and Zacharias trying to acquire the quality, right? They don't have the innate attitude, quality. So Morris' main idea, white living. Morris' main idea is what? How white people live. When Morris says white living, he means what? The confidence white people have, the way they look at the world without fear, right? Their sense of belonging and safety, isn't it? He gives the example of Ethel's photograph. What did he say? Now she stands boldly against a wall. Who stands boldly against a wall? Now see that the description of Ethel is given here. Ethel Lange is given here. So how means how she becomes a white, right? And what makes her point out that she is white and confident? You can say she stands boldly against a wall. She faces the camera without fear. And to Morris, this shows white people grow up without fear. But what his fear? Morris' fear and insecurity. Morris says if someone suddenly points a camera at him, his instinct is to run. So he will run away. Why? Now he's grown up in fear. So he has learned to protect himself in a racist society. So he feels watched and judged. He feels what? Watched and judged. It means somebody will look at him, somebody will judge him. Right? So if you say that what? Means the road metaphor, right? You can say that the road is given you. So that metaphor is what Morris describes walking on a road with no house, no people, no noise, only emptiness. So road here indicates nothing but an emptiness. That symbolizes that you have no house, you have no people, no family, no noises, no happiness. So the road also symbolizes loneliness. The road also symbolizes uncertainty. Anything can happen to you. So the road also symbolizes entering a world that doesn't belong to you, isn't it? So he compares it to a city man suddenly entering a silent, empty place. And this reflects how he feels trying to enter the white wall, how he tries to enter the white world. It means white people's world, isn't it? So, if you say that a post colonial, right, you find out in a content that post colonial, it means what do you mean by post colonial? It indicates about British people are left. After that, how would you convey that your country is not ruled, isn't it? Your country is ruled because the ideology, the left. Who left? Britishers, isn't it? So, fine. Now, you can consider that psychological impact of racism. Now, apartheid doesn't just control laws, it controls what? It controls how people feel inside, because that's what mattered the most. You maybe have nothing, right? But if you have a zeal of living, zeal of sustaining, you can sustain for a couple of days, isn't it? So that's what. So apartheid does what? Not just doesn't just control laws; it tries to control people and how they feel inside. You must have a fear of, isn't it? There are people also who come out from the before the tiger. Some are there who are so strong, but they can't escape themselves, isn't it? So, identity struggle is another thing you would find out. Morris looks white but doesn't feel white. Like I said, he tries to acquire, not innate. Second is quality. He feels he must learn how to be white. That's what he needed. Even if you are trying to acquire certain quality, you must show the best. So here you can say fear versus confidence. White people confidence and belonging, Morris fear and self-doubt. Now, this particular page shows that what Morris inner conflict he can pass as white outwardly, but inside he carries the fear and insecurity that created by hate. Got my point? Hope you understood this. Okay. इतना ही रहने दो. We'll complete in the next class. पढ़ो थोड़ा, isn't it? You, I hope you understand the gist. That is what is highly essential. Now you can understand what is going to happen. Other things. तो पढ़ लो, उसके बाद अगर difficult हो. 15. So 15. Okay. So in that case, the next page of the topic called the blood knot tells about what? Morris and Zachariah, isn't it? We were talking about these two brothers and how these two brothers are playing the role. Zachariah, who was a black, Morris, who is nothing but a fair in color, like the Britisher. And here we understood that how Zachariah convinces Morris to play the role of Zachariah and present himself before the girl. Right? So, what is the name of the girl? Little Hands. Or what? Lang. Little Lang. Okay, fine. We will come to know of it. But we realize that how who Zachariah is convincing Morris to play the role, isn't it? So in this page, we understood Morris says the talking to Zachariah about the difference between black and white. Black and white what? Black and white life. In apartheid South Africa, he believes white people are raised differently and have a natural confidence that he doesn't have. Who doesn't have? Morris. So, and he is going to play the role of Morris. He is going to play the role of British. Right? So, therefore, when Morris says white living, Morris says what? White living. What does he mean? He means the confidence white people have, the way they look at the world without fear, and the sense of belonging. The sense of belonging and safety. So here you would find out he gives the example of Athol's photograph. She stands boldly against the wall. She faces the camera without fear. To Morris, this shows white people grow up without fear. Morris, fear and insecurity. Morris says, if someone suddenly points a camera on him or camera at him, what happens? His instinct means his inner feelings tells him to run. Isn't it? Why? Because he has grown fear. He has grown fear, or he has grown up in fear. He has learned to protect himself in a racist society. So he feels watched and judged. He says it is not cowardice. It is not cowardice, it is a survival. It is not cowardice, it is survival. I'm not coward. I'm trying to sustain. I'm trying to live. Imagine that everybody has the, courage. Everybody has the bravery. But the thing is that they have also weakness, the family. Right or no? They also have some, love, some emotion. If those of the things won't be there, then one will play the role as the animals too. Isn't it? So, like that, here also we find out when Morris says he is not cowardice, but he wants to live. It is survival instinct from his upbringing. So imagine that our parents have nurtured in such a way that we know what is wrong and what is right. If they do have nurtured in a different manner, then or called as the way tiger makes its pup, isn't it? So, or the dog does it to its puppy. So that is the same way we will be nurtured. Then we will be wild. We will be, we will be something like different in the human's kingdom, isn't it? So this shows how apartheid shaped. Apartheid means that called as a type of torture, abuse that shaped a person's psychology, mentality, isn't it? So the writer said that the road metaphor, which I told you in the last class also, Morris describes walking on a road with no houses, no people, no noise, only emptiness. So the road symbolizes here loneliness. The road symbolizes uncertainty. Anything could be happening. So you are alone. So and entering a world where he doesn't belong. So he compares it to a city man suddenly entering a silent, empty place. Like he was the South African guy who was living under the condition of apartheid, suddenly playing the role of white man. It's something like a different, isn't it? So here the author said that what when we talk about psychological impact of racism, what happened? Now, apartheid doesn't just control laws. Apartheid means structure, abuse, doesn't control laws. It controls how people feel inside, isn't it? How people feel inside. I give you one example. When the elephant's baby bird, the mahout, mahout? The mahout used to put up means not very strong, but a kind of a chain which was bound on its leg. Whose leg? The puppy's leg. Sorry, the elephant's baby's leg. And it was bound in one of the pillar. That the chain was tightly bound on a pillar or around the pillar. Then Every time the baby wants to come out of it, that chain stops it not to go. So, and gradually the baby turns to big, or called as in its actual form, like the means like it's a mama or papa. So what happened? It also grows its strength, doesn't it? But from the childhood, the baby feels that what means whenever it tries to come out, that the chain stops it. And once it suddenly grows up, right, or after 2 years or 3 years, when it turns into big in size, it has the strength and it can easily break that chain. But it cannot. Why? Because the psychology of the elephant makes the elephant feels that the chain is stronger than it, isn't it? So therefore, that is what it is stated. Apartheid doesn't control laws. What does it do? It controls how the people feel inside. डर तो होना चाहिए, right? So that is what called as a psychology impact of racism. Second is called as the identity struggle. When we talk about identity struggle, Morris looks white, but that doesn't mean he is a white, but doesn't feel white inside, right or not? So you appear means confident, but that doesn't mean that from the inner side you are. So to make yourself a confident inner side, that you must have nurtured or acquired, right? So that's what is the problem with the birds. He feels he must learn how to present himself as the white. So next is called as a fear versus means confidence. White people is the symbol of confidence and belonging, and Morris is of fear and self-doubt. So if I say this, that what means the passage shows Morris' inner conflict. He can pass as white outwardly, but inside he carries the fear and insecurity that created by apartheid. Right now, the next when Zachariah wants Morris to try on the new clothes so he can look like a gentleman, white gentleman for Athol, right? But Morris hesitates. He feels it is not so simple. He says becoming white is like entering deep water. You can't just jump in, you must move carefully. So this shows how serious and risky Morris feels the situation is. Right. So the next passage indicates the blood knot by Athol Fugard, that it shows a very sensitive moment where Morris tries to learn how to how to be white. Right or not? How to be white. And also talk about what the Morris story about walking on the long road. It is very symbolic and emotional. Now, if you see that, Morris describes walking alone on a long, empty road. The land is dry, the land is empty. So the road seems endless, and there are few cars and very few people. As the sun sets, the place feels cold and lonely. He realizes why people need home, because the outside world can feel you harsh. The outside means the world can make you feel unfriendly, isn't it? See how the statements are written, which are giving the deeper meaning. You say the land is dry and empty. What is the literary meaning and what is the figurative meaning? The land is dry and empty. You are talking about that you are, it is telling about the land. But actually, if you talk about that, you are isolated. So when you say that the road seems endless, it seems like you are going on a path which is not visible, isn't it? There are few cars and very few people. Few cars may be referred to the luxurious, right? So as the sun sets, the place feels cold and lonely. So you find out that you need a home, isn't it? So Morris notices another man walking ahead of him. So this makes that what? He feels, at first he feels comforted, right? So, but when he says that another man, he is glad not to be alone. But as the darkness comes, he starts to feel worried. He begins walking faster, so watching the man closely, feeling nervous about the man's movement. So his loneliness turns into fear. So why Morris becomes afraid here? Now because as evening falls, shadows grow, silence increases, and the empty land feels threatening. So Morris starts to imagine danger. He worries about what the other man might do. So this shows how fear grows in isolation. So if I talk about this fear into a deeper meaning, so this indicates about the road, symbol of the road. The road represents Morris' life journey, his uncertain place in society. So the difficult path between black and white walls. So Morris feels he belongs nowhere. Why he belongs nowhere? Because he has been treated the black people and have been apartheid. Even another person doesn't remove his fear because another person has also same kind of a fear. So living a racist society, who is living? Morris and Zachariah both live in a racist society that make Morris always alert and suspicious. He cannot relax even in ordinary situation because every time he has that fear. Morris realizes home means what? Safety and belonging. Without a person feels lost. So this passage shows Morris' deep loneliness and fear on the road, and that symbolizing his emotional isolation and insecurity in a divided society, isn't it? Now, in this case, Morris tells Zachariah about an incident on the road. He saw a white man near a fire at night. When the white man saw Morris clearly, he picked up a stick as if to defend himself. Right? When the white man saw Morris clearly, so he picked up a stick as if to defend himself. Morris realized the man feared him. Why? No, because he was seen as black. So this confirms to Morris how deeply race controls reactions in what? Society. Right? So after this, Zachariah says, Morris, that what? Morris must walk properly. So look at things properly. So also hears the sounds, right? So Morris agrees that this suggests whiteness is treated like a behavior to learn. So not just a skin color. So even though there is a one of the scene which is called as the hat scene. Hat. The hat scene. Zachariah keeps requesting Morris to wear the hat. So Morris first tries it, then removes it in embarrassment. Right. So he feels not sure and self-conscious. Zachariah encourages him and says it looks good. Morris slowly gains confidence and wants to try again. So the hat symbolizes trying on a new identity, isn't it? So in that case, means this scene shows what? Morris' insecurity. His desires to fit into white society, right? His fear of being exposed. exposed as not white enough. Right. So even a simple hat becomes a big psychological step. Imagine that you have already stated, no, you have already understood that. Means, let me tell you, and, हमारे उड़िया में एक कहावत है, आई होप यू मस्ट हैव हर्ड दिस, जहाँ पुओ सापो का पड़े तमा पाड़ो दौड़ी देखले डरे. You don't understand. Right. It's a Odia quote. This Odia quote tells us that somebody's son who has been killed because of the snake's attack. So, whose mother always afraid of when she finds out when any kind of a things that shows like a snake, isn't it? Even if a simple straw, right or not, simple straw can make that woman afraid of snake, feels like it is a snake. Now imagine Morris, who has been suffering from apartheid situation, from not only him, all those black people. So, and you find out that the fear of apartheid creates a home in his mind, right or not? Even if means Zachariah who gives the confidence, Morris finds out the problem. Why? Because psychology doesn't allow him. He feels that he is white, but he's not white enough. He is white, but he's not white enough. So he feels that he can play the role as a means white people, but he cannot present it as the white people dance or do, isn't it? Now that is why when Zachariah tells him to wear the hat, he finds out the problem into it. Yes. So you find out that Morris' insecurity, his desire to fit into white society. So his fear of being exposed. Remember that. So when think of it, you steal someone's suit, you wear it, you look fit. But when you go on the road, you have a fear that whose suit you wear, if we can see that, if he sees that, then that fear will be always in your mind, isn't it? Another example, you find out a kind of a conflict occurs to a person and you give him a severe hit in front of the audience. As a girl, you have the right and you give a slap to that boy. But you have the fear in the future that any moment that boy will take the revenge from you. Isn't it? That is psychology. Isn't it? Now, Morris, though looks white, though have everything, but still have the fear exposed. Isn't it? So you can give those of the examples also to express or elaborate. So his fear of being exposed as not white enough. So even a simple hat becomes a big psychological stake, isn't it? So Morris must act, Morris must dress, Morris must speak correctly, correctly to pass, isn't it? So Morris has observed the society's social rules. He is a turn between who he is and who he must pretend to be. So, as a brotherhood, Zachariah supports and encourages him, even if he doesn't fully grasp Morris' fear. Right? Because you are not the actual person who is going to the battle. The person who is going to the battle has the fear. Zachariah supports, Zachariah encourages, even if he doesn't fully hold Morris' fear. Isn't it? Now understand that. What is this question? You can easily do it. As a teacher, I can say that. But I need to put my shoes into the student's shoe. Right or not? Put my foot into the student's shoes. Then only I realize the kind of a problem and fear that the student have. Similar to that, as a means a brother, Zachariah supports, encourages, but has to know that the kind of a fear because the actual role is played by Morris. So in this text, actually, you would find out Morris practicing how to appear white, revealing how apartheid turns identity into a performance and creates deep inner conflict, isn't it? So, now, after that, the next passage state about what? This is 318, huh? 318, no? Okay, so the next passage, which is stated about, I think 317 is stating about the same thing which I told. Right. Now, let's go to the 318. So, now what 318, the page stated here, that Morris and Zachariah rehearsing how Morris should act when he meets Athol. Isn't it? Now you understood all the things. So step by step, right? So the dresses have been given, the kind of a problems Morris felt, even Jakaria supports him, encourages him. Now the problem comes out is called as a Morris and Jakaria rehearsing. That how Morris should act when he meets Ethel. So this part would be considering as a humorous and deeply serious. Why? That because Morris is practicing how to greet Ethel like a white gentleman. He tries on the hand, sorry, he tries on the hat and jacket, right? So he practices polite greetings. So he speaks very formally and you can say softly. So he checks Jakaria's reaction for approval. Because who is going to approve? Yes, you are perfect. Now you can go to the field. Jakaria has to give the means, approval. So that is why he tries on the hat and jacket and means wore it. He practices polite greetings every time. He speaks very formally and softly, and he sees that whether Jakaria's reaction for approval. And this is like an acting rehearsal, you can say that. So Jakaria corrects Morris. He tells Morris his voice is too soft. Hey, your voice is too soft. So he says white men don't sound like that. He sets up a pretend situation. Pretend means what? He acts or he uh, behaves like. He pretends the situation where Morris is walking with Ethel and Jakaria acts as a street vendor selling monkey nuts, right? So because you are going to meet the girl and you are meeting the girl where on the road or at the street. So in that case, what happened? Other people will be selling the things. So Morris hesitation when Jakaria pretends to sell nuts and expects Morris to respond confidently. Morris suddenly says, "I can't." Right. And this shows why? Why did he say that this shows lack of confidence? It's a fear and uncertainty. He realizes passing as white is not easy. Right? He might fail, and the situation is risky, isn't it? So identity here as performance, you find out Morris must rehearse the speech, manners, and behaviors. So what are the three things? Speech, manner, behavior. Right. His identity becomes, you can say, something to act. So the psychological pressure is also there. So even simple conversation makes him nervous. So he feels he is being tested. Right. So that's what. And if you talk about reality versus fantasy, you would say that at first the role feels fun. which is called as a fantasy for your enjoyment. But the reality, Maurice realizes the real world is dangerous, isn't it? So Zachariah is like a coach who is pushing Maurice forward. Maurice is the hesitant actor, reluctant actor who is not want to play that role, have the fear of failure, of flop. Got the point? So this passage shows what Morris rehearsing a white identity, but suddenly realizing how difficult and frightening it is to maintain the act in real life, isn't it? So in that case, you can say race as a performance. See the symbolism. Race as performance. So, psychological effects of apartheid and dramatic irony. One side you find out fantasy, the other side you find out the reality. Right? So, and the gap between appearance and reality, isn't it? These are the means of important things that you find out what make this text humorous and also serious. Now, the next passage, where 319 says what? Now, this is nothing but this passage is nothing but considering as a one of the most powerful and painful moments in the text. So it shows how deeply racism has affected both brothers and how dangerous playing white can become. So Zachariah is teaching and pushing Maurice. Teaching, you understand? Teaching and pushing Maurice to learn how to behave like a white man so he can meet Athol. Maurice is already tense and uncomfortable, repeatedly saying that he is not interested to do that. He hesitates to become an actor. So the pressure builds between them. One side who is playing the role, the other side who is trying to convince the person to play the role perfectly. So then, in anger and frustration, Maurice suddenly uses a racist insult. Right? So, what is that racist insult? Swat gat, swat gat towards Zachariah. Swat gat. So, that is called as a racist insult. SWARTGAT. Swat gat. So, towards Zachariah. This shocks Zachariah. So, and what would be the immediate impact? Zachariah turns and looks at Morris in disbelief. Morris tries to laugh it off as a joke, but he quickly realizes he has gone too far. Because sometimes in a joke, we say something we feel like slip of the tongue, but it's sometimes nothing but a hurt to the other person, very hard. So, but he quickly realizes he has gone too far. He becomes desperate. Who? Morris becomes desperate and apologizes repeatedly. Right? He begs, requests Zachariah to forgive him and reminds him that he is his brother. Right? The mood shifts from playful to deeply hurt. Right? Now, tell me that why this moment is so important here. Because that internalized racism, that internalized racism, Morris has observed the racist. So, racist language, attitudes of apartheid society. Even though Zachariah is his brother, that language comes out in a heated moment. This shows how racism can poison even close relations. Now, sometimes what happens? Now, means playing the role for a particular person, you even carry the role in you, and you be your actual role and your artificial role will be same because you acquire that artificial role into actual man, isn't it? Imagine that if you would be brought up in Australia, your accent would be Australian, not Indian. Even though you born in India, but you're brought up in Australia would make you what? Actual quality. Likewise, here when we talk about means Morris carries that quality. And even if his brother was saying, forget that. Right. So this is what indicates that how racism can poison even close relations. Isn't it? Now, this indicates about identity confusion. Now, what is that identity crisis? Identity confusion. Now, Morris is trying so hard to pass as white that he momentarily speaks from the mindset of the oppressor. Momentarily speaks from the mindset of the oppressor, the way the oppressor makes the people to oppress it. Right. So that is the what quality means Morris carries. But immediately he regrets it. Right. He is a turn between. So he is brotherhood. His desire to pass as white. His fear of the system. Right. So in that case, means he forgot those of the things. Now he realizes that. So everything. So this indicates about brotherly bond testing. Like the title blood knot is tested here. How close you are. Right. The blood bond is strong, but racism strains it. Strains you understand, put a mark on it or make it like a broken. Right. So Zachariah's disbelief shows deep emotional heart, not just anger. Right. So means you would say that what? When Morris tears off the jacket, means what happened? The clouds coming up here. So Morris tears off the jacket and hat. So that symbolizes rejecting the false white identity. So returning to his true self, realizing how far he has gone, isn't it? So the scene shows how apartheid racism invades Morris' mind so deeply that he hurts his own brother by saying Swagat. Right, revealing the tragic psychological damage caused by racial systems. Right. So you can say that this is a key turning point in the play because it reveals the psychological violence of apartheid, the fragility, the weakness of identity, the emotional cost of passing the true weight, burden, the true burden of the blood knot, the true burden of the blood knot between his brother, isn't it? So that's what you would find out means in this particular text. But at the same time, when we go to the next one, that called as the next one is this is 320. Yeah? Okay. Mhm. 320. This is the last. Okay, so let's go to the 320 page. What is this 320 page try to tell us? Means here you would find out Athol Fugard, right, is the one of the most emotional, what do you say that, confessions presented through Morris the character. So Athol Fugard then finally explains why Morris tried to live as a white man, and why he returned to Jakarta. So, if you see that in this text, Zachariah says he once saw a different sort of man. Zachariah says what? He once saw a different sort of man. Morris admits that man was him. So when he tried to live as white, this is his confession. Whose confession? That's something called as a brothers. And when Zachariah asked, Morris explains, right? So let's say that you are not the same person that you met means 2 years ago. You are completely different. Why? Well, because you play the role like that, isn't it? So maybe today I find out, means kind of a uniform, but after 5 years, I find out in a corporate suit, right? Having the jacket and wearing a means formal pant with the shoes, means holding a kind of a bag, and the other hand holding a kind of a means a lavish phone, right, or expensive phone, and means sitting in a four-wheeler, right. So when I see her, I feel like she's not the same girl whom I used to teach means a couple of years ago, isn't it? So that's when I ask her, she would say that yes, I was the same girl whom you taught 2 years ago or 5 years ago. So then, what made her change? Made her change is called as her job, her responsibility, isn't it? Got my point? So similar to that. So that man was him when he tried to live as white. This is his confession. Morris explains his thinking that if someone is born with a chance to change their life, why not take it? Why not take it? If someone is born with a chance to change their life, why not take it? He compares it to a womb turning into a winged creature. He thought it was natural to want a better life. He dreamed of becoming different and beautiful. So he did not see it as a sin at first. Right. So these are the Morris explanation of his thinking. So then what stopped him? Two fears troubled him. What are the two fears? One is called as apartheid laws. So that could punish him if it discovered. Right. So the law, which is nothing but means troubled him. If he discovered, he will be punished. Isn't it? Second, he's a brother. More than the law. He feared Zachariah's eyes. Morris is afraid of it. But Zachariah is more afraid than Morris. Why? Because if Morris exposed, then that is why Zachariah is telling him every time, no, not in that manner. No, do it in this way. Isn't it? Now, otherwise, remember that a student who is going to give a speech in a particular place, right? So, under the guidance of an English teacher, the English teacher has more fear than the student has. Why? Because the teacher all the time feel like what? Whether she speaks in that manner or not, whether she speaks in that manner or not, this manner or not, isn't it? So, therefore, apartheid law could punish Morris, which will be if discovered. But Zachariah's fear is more than apartheid law, right? So, he finds out that more than the law, he feared Zachariah's eyes. So, eyes full of love, eyes full of, pity and sadness, eyes asking why, right? His guilt toward his brother hurt more than legal fear if he did not perform well. Isn't it? If he did not perform well, if he has been exposed, two things occur. If he is exposed, then what will happen to Zachariah? Zachariah will not succeed in his love. And if Morris will expose, then he will be punished. So in both of the cases, Zachariah will lose love and brother. So that is why. So here you can say that the love, the power of brotherhood, you can say. So Morris says they share one mother. They share one mother. They are flesh and blood. Their bond cannot be escaped. One cannot leave to the other. Right? He feels that betraying his brother is worse than breaking the law, isn't it? So this connects directly to the title blood knot, a blood that cannot be untied. How do you think that the blood can be untied here? When Morris is playing the role of white, is he trying to, detach from his brother? Isn't it? So Morris wanted a new identity, but loyalty pulled him back. Morris wanted a new identity. That new identity is nothing but called as white. But loyalty pulled him back. Moral awakening. He realizes passing as white means what? Denying his brother and roots. Right? So realizes what? Passing as white means denying his brother and roots. Means you are not my brother. And we are not belonging to the same mother. Right? So that's what it's called as awakening. You realize. So, human desire for change. The play shows it is natural to want a better life. The play, from the beginning to the end, you find out both wants to live a better life, right? So, but society makes it tragic. So, the passage or the text in this shows Morris' confession that he tried to become white for a better life, but love and guilt toward his brother brought him back. Take him or took him back. So that is why you can say that the scenes present in the text highlight emotional core of the play. Right, the meaning of the blood knot can be justified through this, and conflict between survival and loyalty, and we also find out the psychological cost of apartheid, all such kind of things. So finally, when we reach to the last one, which is called as a I'm no Judas. I'm no Judas. So this short one is the closing moment of the Blood Nut by Athol Fugard. So and the thought it is brief and is very powerful. Like the line which is stated here, what is that? I'm not Judas, gentle Jews, meek and mild. I'm not Judas. The alarm rings, neither response. Neither response. So you can say it is spoken in a deep emotional distress. The alarm rings. Neither brother responds. Silence flows. Isn't it? This creates nothing but a heavy, unresolving ending. Isn't it? Unresolving ending means what? That called as we don't understand like whether the story means ends with the brother, both of the brothers hug together and live their life and decided to stop the things from there. So here, if you talk about that, when you say I'm no Judas, what do you mean by Judas? Judas is the word taken from the Bible, right? So it is the you can say that what I'm no Judas. It means I'm not the disciple. Disciple, you understand? I'm not the disciple who betrayed Jesus. I'm no Judas. I'm not the disciple who betrays the Jesus. So when Morris says that I'm no Judas, he's saying I'm not a betrayer. Right? I did not betray my brother. It means his brother is a metaphorical term to the Jesus. And I am not a Judas. means I'm the disciple. It means obviously the brother is trying to teach him how to perform as a white man, isn't it? So it's a very throughout the play you would find a very emotional, right? So Morris tried to pass as white. He heard Zachariah with a racist language. So he struggled between survival and loyalty. But by the end, he fears he has betrayed. He has betrayed. So his brother, his identity, and his roots. Right? How? You know that. By simple or what? So the line is his desperate denial of the truth. Sometimes I said something, but I don't want to, I don't mean it. But as many commitments, as many times as I try to speak those things before you, I feel like you are not convinced, right? I know that I didn't mean that, but as I had said it, you took it, and my 100 times apology cannot change your mind, isn't it? So this same thing occurs. Maybe Morris did not say it, mean it, but Morris said that is the reason, is the symbol of betrayal, right? So the alarm symbolizes reality calling them back. Come back to your origin. So the routine of their poor life, time moving forward despite their conflict. So, but neither response, which suggests that what emotional balance. When both of the brothers have a kind of a quarrel, have a kind of a means, problem in a one matter, you would find out that they stop talking to each other, isn't it? So they may feel cry, but they stop talking to each other for a moment or maybe for a period of time. Here we can find out the same thing. Morris and Zachariah, emotional paralysis. So shock and silence after conflict, and the relationship is strained, isn't it? So that's what you would find out. You can find out it's a guilt and conscience that Morris feels guilt, right? And guilty. Morris feels guilty and wants forgiveness. So the tragedy of apartheid, the system pushes people into choices that hurt loved ones. The system pushes people into what? Choices that hurt loved ones. Right. So unresolved ending that you can say Fugard leaves us with silence. No easy solution. Right. So in one idea, you can say the final line shows Morris desperately denying betrayal while the silence and alarm highlight the emotional damage apartheid has caused between the, isn't it? So that's what you would find out in the particular thing. I hope you understood this. The Blood Nut by Arthur Fugard.